I thought it was all right. I'm just kidding, guys. I am going to elaborate on my thoughts just a little bit more. Ever since I started playing Highguard when it released on Monday, for the past few days, I've just been thinking about it a lot, and I find the whole situation just so interesting. And I just have been racking my brain about it, and I just wanted to make a dedicated video on my thoughts about it, just for my own mental health, because I find it so interesting. I think the way it was handled was so poorly done, and just the game itself, I think, just has a ton of issues. That's not to say that it's all bad. I think there are definitely, it does have strong suits. I think the game is competently made, and clearly there was a lot of passion that went into that. I think the art direction is decent. I don't think it was necessarily the most inspired. I think it was pretty generic, but I don't think anything was nearly necessarily bad. But I thought it was good. I thought the game ran well. I didn't have any performance issues. I did see some reviews talking about it and saying that there was issues, but I honestly thought the game ran well for me. There was a couple times where I had frame rate drops, but that wasn't too bad. And honestly, I thought the gunplay was pretty good. It felt really good to win a fight, and killing people always felt pretty satisfying. I did think the weapon variety was pretty lacking, but I think the gunplay was good. And that is definitely the end of my positives, because I think there are a lot more criticisms to talk about this game. And I kind of want to talk about why I think it's failing really poorly right now, because the last I saw, the game had about like a 35% positive on Steam. Part of that I think is due to the fact that Steam doesn't allow mixed reviews, which I think is definitely something that should be allowed. But I think a lot of the criticism is justified. I think it's really failing right now, and I think the biggest thing that caused that was the Game Awards. I think that being the last release, the final one, brings with it a much higher expectation, especially when you have Jeff Keighley out there saying, you know, these are the same people that brought you Apex Legends, that brought you Titanfall 2, and so everyone's minds are going 1,000 miles a minute, thinking, oh, this is a spiritual successor to Titanfall 2, and that's just not what we got. And then it got even worse because, you know, the dev team went completely silent after the release, and then Jeff Keighley is out here tweeting, doubling down on his choice to put it last. You know, putting up memes from Jurassic Park that says, I will be accepting your apology in 48 hours. And when it comes to the game itself, I just simply think there isn't enough content. There's only one game mode, the raid mode, which is a 3v3. There's 4 or 5 maps, if memory serves me, and roughly 7 or 8 heroes. I just don't think there's enough variety to keep people coming back. Because really every game felt very similar, and after just like 3 or 4 games, I was already kind of bored with it. And that kind of brings me to the gameplay loop of the game itself. It was really confusing for me. The gameplay is broken down into 3 phases. The first phase is you have the reinforcement phase, which is basically Rainbow Six Siege, where you're reinforcing walls and in preparation for being sieged. And that really just felt so strange to me, because the reinforcements were useless. When you were actually under siege, those walls were basically made of paper mache, and they would just go blasting through them. So I understood the idea of it, but I just thought it was really pointless. And then the second phase is you have a looting phase, where you're running around just grabbing loot. You're doing a little, you know, Minecraft mining section. And the last one obviously is the attack defense phase. The problem is, with all 3 of those phases, there is so much dead time in between them. It felt like you were just running for most of the game, and then you would have occasional fights, and that really is another massive problem, is the maps. The maps are massive for a 3v3. I really don't understand. I understand that they gave you mounts so you move a lot faster, but I mean, one of the first things I said when I got into a game is, wow, these maps are huge, because they are. For a 3v3, it really should be something like 4v4 at the least. I think probably more like a 5v5. But a 3v3, the fights were few and far between, and even the looting, well, there was a lot of space in between the looting sections. It didn't feel good. And this last one, I think this one could just be me and my own personal preferences, but I think the game really felt like it wanted to be faster. Like the movement, the gunplay, it felt like it wanted to be so much faster than it was, but it was just slow. It wasn't as slow as like something like Concord or any other game that you could think of along those lines, but it was definitely slower than it felt like it wanted to be. There was no like movement tech, there wasn't anything cool, and it felt like there was a huge opportunity for that to happen. And I think that would have benefited the game a ton. And again, just to reiterate, I just don't think there's enough here. I think it needed another 5 or 6 months in the oven to really build on some game modes, expand the hero roster, maybe refine some of the art style, because I don't think there's enough there, and it's not original enough to really keep people around. And despite all the criticism that I've been heaping on this game, I do want it to be good. I really want it to be good. I wanted it to be a feel-good story that went against the narrative that, oh, it's just going to be a Concord 2, and I definitely don't think it's that bad. Obviously not. It's doing a lot better than Concord ever did. But I wanted it to be successful, and I hope they stick with the game. I hope they really do, and I hope they do consistent updates and really make that game a viable option for people. Because I think this is a new studio, and the more studios that are out there creating quality games for us, we only win as consumers. So I hope they stick around. I hope they continue to work on the game. I hope it gets good, because right now I was honestly really disappointed. It was very mid, definitely not as bad as some people are saying, but it has a lot of problems. So yeah, I just wanted to rant about Highguard a bit. Appreciate you guys listening to my stream of consciousness. I just find it so interesting. Yeah, later guys.